Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a video tutorial of doing skin tone with colored pencil. And I'm using an eye that I've seen the most with a lot of your submissions. So as you're working with this, again, hopefully this helps out a little bit more. So one of the things I've been noticing with skin tone is that you're just kind of going in with a basic color and thinking that's all you have to do. So I'm going to use this color. It's going to be basically like what you're using for your skin tone, if that's kind of what you decided, to kind of show you like how you can fix and take with what you have and turn it into more of what it needs to be. So I'm just going to start by, again, I'm quickly coloring this right now just to kind of give the illusion of obviously the skin. And some of you might have done this even. And obviously this is not a great technique to do, but for the time being it will work to fill this in. So again, you've thought your skin tone, you just have to do, quick coloring of it, and you probably thought you were done and you like got the skin tone there. And if you look carefully, you'll probably see that skin tone is not always all the same color. So we're going to look at that and kind of help you out with creating that there. So from my eye, you can see, again, the drawing and what I have added to it. So I've just got the basics, and again, I don't have the inside done. I'm going to work on mainly showing you the skin tones for right now. So I've pressed kind of lightly, and you can see that there. But again, just to give kind of the basics of that. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to figure out, does this person have like a warmer skin tone? Is it cooler? Is it yellow, olive, brown? Like what do I have to do to this? So I do notice that she has a little bit of some red tones in it. So I'm going to start off by focusing on the upper lid. So again, you don't want to use black in the eye at all, really, other than the iris or than the pupil and the eyelashes. You're not going to see that. So first of all, I don't have, notice I didn't do any of that. I don't have my eyelashes in or anything for right now. So I'm going to start off by just taking this brown, and this is just your basic brown color, and I'm adding in where this crease line is. And I'm doing that kind of lightly right now. I'm not pressing super hard with that. And again, because I don't want to press really hard, because I also want to blend these colors out somewhat. So I notice that there's a lot of, there's actually some makeup on this part. So if I can, I'm now going to erase some of that, because that's basically right above, there's a highlight right there. So I kind of don't want to really see that. And then what I'm going to do is now, looking at this crease obviously up here, it is dark. So I'm taking a red. Now this red's a little bit like a orange red to some degree. So I'm taking that, and now I'm going to work in round, like oval-like lines, because I want to kind of try to fade out that black, excuse me, not black, that dark brown line that I had. So I'm going over top of the brown, and I'm also going to the front a little bit of that line. And you can see that, again, for the most part, that's starting to kind of blend that brown out. And now I'm going to come above that, because she has like it's like a double hooded eye almost. So I'm going to work that in as well. Again, I'm focusing on using circular lines, like some coloring in ovals basically. That's going to really help. So, and obviously if you are working on this picture, you know that the picture gets cut off like right about here, so I can't really tell what happens. So now I'm going to come back in with that brown, and I'm going to go over lightly. I'm not pressing super hard. And now I'm going to come back in onto that crease line. I press a little harder, just a tiny bit. I'm going to blend out that brown now with that red. So the red doesn't show up super hard and the brown doesn't show up super hard. They kind of work together to blend. Down here over towards the tear duct, it gets a little bit lighter, so I'm not going to really focus on putting anything in that area. And obviously, as a whole, down here as well, it does have some more red in it, so I'm going to work on that. But for the most part, I'm going to leave it. Actually, notice I need to take this at a diagonal. So the nice thing about if you press light enough at the beginning, you can actually erase anything that you mess up on too. So I'm going to lightly come in with some of that red and just barely pressing. And because I'm pressing super, super light, it's just going to take that flesh tone just to more of a pink color, a little bit more pink. And then I can come in with that flesh tone that I was using. Kind of come over it. I think that's actually too pink, so I'm actually going to come in with something else. So again, I'm just working in circles, coming in with different colors, trying to get that all to fade out and again blend together. So again, you can see that I'm going to leave this area because it is kind of highlighted right now, but I do need to add a little bit more in there. So I'm going to continue taking this color that I have, which is a little bit more a flesh tone, which is called light peach. What we would say would be like our flesh tone. Some of you have like that peach color, that flesh tone color for some degree. But it's not, again, that's just a generic color. It doesn't really help because obviously a lot of people are not this peach. Obviously, if even I look at my skin tone compared to this, it's definitely way too light even for me. So again, I'm just working on those ovals, and by doing that right now, I'm blending those colors that I have, and I can get those to all kind of fade together as well, which is going to help out. So again, this may not be where I need it to get yet. It may need to be even darker to some degree. It may need to get lighter in some places. But just by allowing these all to work together, obviously I can kind of start there. It's a good place to start. So if I look at the bottom under the lid, right? So this actually has a little bit more red down here for sure. So same concept. If I take my pencil, and I'm specifically looking over towards the tear duct, so I'm on the wrong side. So if I come in, again, doing those ovals, again, I'm not pressing super hard right now because I just want to get that in before I, get any harder pressure. And again, really with skin tone with humans, our skin is translucent, so we can kind of see through it. So we don't really need to add super hard pressure here because our skin naturally shows like our veins through it and stuff like that. So we don't want to have like colors being super hard. And again, I'm just using that oval, and you can see how that's working to blend those colors out underneath the eye. I like working in these ovals because then I can hide all these crazy lines that I had from the get-go when I first started working. So obviously as I'm working that in, again, a little rough right now, but I'm going to focus on coming up here a little bit more. And I want to try to really blend that out because that's kind of funky. So I'm going to take my original peach color and I'm going to work a different direction now. And by working a different direction, then I can get those lines to all blend together a little bit differently. So again, you can kind of see how that's starting to make that all look a little bit more red. And again, I'm cutting it off right here. But again, if you have that photo, you know that it goes down just a little bit more. But it also gets kind of cut off right there too. So again, method to the madness a little bit right now. So as you're working, and then obviously over here it's really light. So I'm actually going to use just focusing on taking over that light peach over top of this. So again, I'm still using those flesh tones, but I have to also add in some of my own colors and change that up a little bit. Apparently there's a flake of blue from somewhere. However, if I'm also then working on adding in like maybe the eye makeup or something like that, I'm going to look to see what colors those are. And so if I look at her makeup up here on the top, it's kind of like an icy blue kind of color. So I'm going to come in first and I'm going to add some of that in. So as I add in those colors, that's probably going to change then a lot about what, again, your colors will look like as well. So again, I can just layer over top of that skin tone. And I can start to see if that is going to work or if I need to add a little bit more of a bluish color. This is going to be a little scary because I feel like this is going to be really, really dark, really blue. So as I add this color, and I'm just barely pressing because it is a little bit more intense than I need it to be. So just a little bit of that to help. And again, I'm going to come back in with my really, really light blue that I have. If you don't have a color like this, you're trying to go for probably like, you want to use your white, your light blue, stuff like that to help. And obviously as I'm coming over, I'm going to continue using that same color, but it gets pretty light in here, so now I would probably grab my white pencil. And it's going to be really hard to see white, obviously, but if you have like a toned paper a little bit, like if it's not pure white, if it's off-white, you can see that you, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but if you were to look at your paper, you'll actually be able to see a little bit of that pop up. So just barely, you can kind of start to see that. But obviously over along this side, the skin tones start to play up again. So by having more of that blue come in, obviously, you're going to see that. So I would also probably have some of that peach. And now as that peach comes in, I'm adding in those lines a little bit longer than I normally would because they start to show up some. And I'm also going to add in a little bit of a lighter brown than what I was using at first. And this, I'm just going to try it. I have no idea if this will work. So it's a little bit more on the red side, but if I add this in, I can get some of those lines that start to show up right here. And then I can take that other brown that I was using at the beginning. I can begin to add those. And if I notice that it needs to get darker, I'm going to grab a darker brown. And I'm going to begin to add that in as a crease. And this is not black, it actually says dark brown on it. So, but by adding that in, and then I can add in a couple places where I need to, and then blending that out with my skin tone that I'm creating, I'll be able to really get that crease to now look like a crease. So again, figuring out the skin tones will be a lot of just trying different colors and trying different things, but then just working on layers and blending them in.